When I made this video about the social media profiles showing up in the local knowledge panels, I noticed something about my listing, which is this. I had just the most brutal snippet here in my local knowledge panel. So that means like if you're in the Detroit area and you search Seth Kimball or Seth Kimball design, this comes up and this is what you see: overpromised and never delivered and never refunded our $1,000 deposit. And when I saw it, I was like, I don't even know who that is. What in the world? And when I went to look at the reviews, this is what it said. After getting burned from another web designer who overpromised and never delivered and never refunded a $1,000 deposit, a friend referred me to Seth Kimball. And so I now I don't get a whole lot of um, business from my local listing. I'm not too worried about it, but I thought I really need to fix this. So later in the week, I didn't do it right away, like I said, because this I don't get a ton of traffic to my business page, I don't think. But I thought I've got to fix this, and so I did. I fixed it. I'm going to talk to you about what I did to fix this. So um, the first thing to say is that um, um, what you want to do. Well, let me start with this, which is Google's review content guide. So Google has specific policies about what can be allowed in a review, and they're not going to remove. Generally speaking, they're not going to remove a review for you unless it um, violates their policies. So you're a little bit stuck in that way. Um, if you have a problem like this. So that's one thing that just to know. And so what I did, because I know this guy, is I got him to edit the review. It was funny, it was actually ironic. I had actually asked him to leave me this review in the first place. I wanted to get 5 reviews on my listing so that I would start having stars showing up. I wanted to have stars showing up. And so I asked him to leave this review and he did. So I just emailed him and um, I've got a record of the emails too. So it happened. The change happened really fast. So I emailed him on August 4th and explained what was going on. I even made a screen capture video because I was like, let me just show him what's going on here. And he thought it was sort of funny, but was totally willing to change it. He changed it right away that same day. So 4 days later, it was switched. And if I do that search now, um, you can see it's actually changed. This was the snippet that was showing before, which is also weird because it's the same thing. My company's used the services of several other web designers, and then it says, oh, this was a great decision to use Seth to do it. But it's again this weird thing where it takes that first sentence. But I felt pretty much happy with that. In fact, I say that to him right here. I'm like, it's now a weird snippet of a different review, but it's more clearly an irrelevant sentence, right? That's kind of a weird thing, but I don't mind. It's like as long as it's not sort of blatantly negative. So that was in 4 days, but actually, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna check the date. I'm pretty sure it happened actually even sooner than that. I think maybe it switched over the weekend, and then I emailed him on that Monday. So August 4th was Thursday. He switched on that Thursday, and I think I saw it was switched over the weekend, and then was like, oh, I should email him back, and emailed him on Monday. So it was super fast. Um, and so that's the first thing I recommend. If you can, get the original reviewer to edit the review by contacting them. And if you can't, you could at least maybe you could get them to delete it, even if they sort of, they're not interested in um, in editing a bad review to make it a good review. You could tell them, maybe you could explain, look, I have a lot of good reviews, but yours is showing up here in the snippets. It looks really bad. Would you be willing to at least just delete it? And maybe you could get them to do that. If you can't, contact the original reviewer, or they're just not willing to change it, then um, then I recommend that you do a bunch of things all at once. The first thing I recommend is that you get more positive reviews. Think of customers you have who are really happy, who have really, liked your work or your business, and get them to do positive reviews. And if it's somebody who you know well, ask them to start the review with a concise positive sentence, because you can see from both of these reviews, both of these snippets are taken from like a concise first sentence. Both of these. And then in fact, even the one that turned out really bad, see, he changed it now, so it's not there. But if you look at the screenshot, um, it was taken out of that initial first sentence. And so if there's a really nice, concise, positive first sentence, it's more likely to get grabbed as a snippet. So that is not a foolproof method to change your snippets, getting positive reviews, but it may be the only thing you can do. There are a couple other things you can try, but you may just get people saying, no, we don't mess with that, basically. So get positive reviews, as many new positive reviews as you can, and start if you know the person well, or if they're like a little bit marketing minded, you could ask them, would they be willing to start the review with a concise positive sentence? Okay, so that's the first thing. And I recommend you do all these things because it's like if you can't get the review edited or deleted, just fire on all cylinders until you've gotten it switched. That's my recommendation. So the next thing is to contact support. Um, and you can I recommend that you just search Google for My Business Help Center or whatever, and then go to Need More Help. And it's going to ask me to sign in, so it's not showing me right now, but it'll actually let you contact them. So you can contact them through a contact form, sign in using the account that you use to manage your Google My Business page, and send them a contact request. And what I recommend that you say is that claim, if you can, if this is true, that the snippet unfairly characterizes all the reviews as negative. So let's say it's just one negative review that you got and you have a bunch of positive reviews and that one negative review has shown up, you could say, look, I have like all these positive reviews and way fewer negative reviews, but when you see it on the front end, it makes it look like I have as many or more negative reviews than positive reviews. So that's sort of the angle I would try to take. The thing to remember is, they are thinking about the integrity of their data and of their systems for keeping that data in place. They're not thinking about marketing your business. So for you to say, hey, this makes my business look bad, it's like, well, too bad, you got a bad review. That's what happens. What they're thinking about is sort of the integrity of their system and of their data. So if you can kind of claim it from that side and say, look, this is what's actually happening on this. This is the actual data. And this snippet unfairly characterizes the reviews as negative. Okay, so that's one thing. I would recommend starting a thread in the Google My Business community, and you could search official Google My Business community. I think that's how I found I found it in Google using that. Um, and there are going to be all these discussion categories, and probably like I've seen posts about this kind of thing under basics for business owners, and I think maybe you could also put it under like enhance your presence. Those two are sort of like general, here's how my business is looking online. And the reason I recommend it, most of the people in here are going to be volunteers, and they're probably going to just recommend to you the same things that I'm telling you to do. Get positive reviews, whatever. But the reason is just that you're trying to make us think a little bit. You're just trying to get as many places as you can. And the other thing is that I have seen Google employees respond in this forum. And so even though it's not directly contacting support, it's another way to um, possibly get a hold of support in another way. So that's the other thing that I would recommend. And then the last thing I would recommend is if you have a Twitter account that you tweet to Google small biz. And the way that you tweet to the way that you compose a tweet, if you haven't done this before, if you're on Twitter, probably you know this already, but the way that you sort of send a tweet to someone is you start your tweet with their Twitter handle at Google small biz. Hey, you know, blah 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 blah, my snippet, the snippet in the knowledge panel. And I would just say the same thing. Say the same thing. It's, I have one negative review, or I have just a couple of negative reviews, but one of them is showing up in the knowledge panel, and that it doesn't really reflect the reviews I have on my listing. Say something like that. And so those are all ways. So I'll just kind of run through these again in order. So get positive reviews. And that's the first thing I recommend, because it may be that each place you do this, each place you ask for support, that's what they'll say. Is like, look, if you can get some more positive reviews, it's possible it'll switch. They might just say it's not our policy to mess with, to manually change snippets that show up in the knowledge panel. They might say that. So that's why you want to be getting positive reviews to start right away. And then after that, I recommend you contact Google My Business Help. You could contact them by phone, you could contact them through the contact form, however you want to do it, but you want to contact them and ask for help that way. And you want to start a thread in the Google My Business community forum as well. And in all of those, just kind of stay on point, and if actually you have a negative snippet showing up because you have a lot of negative reviews, you probably aren't, it's probably going to be kind of tough for you to get it switched. But hopefully you sort of have a system in place for getting good positive reviews, or maybe you want to get a bunch of positive reviews first, and then you can contact them and say, I just got up, I saw that this negative review is in here and I got a bunch of positive reviews. These are all real customers, real reviews who really like my business, but that snippet is still there even though most of the reviews are positive now, something like that. And that's it.